Good morning, brothers and sisters. It's a chilly and rainy sort of morning here in Las Vegas, so I thought I'd curl up by the fireplace. This morning I want to rebut, if you will, some of the wisdom of Yoda, that great Jedi master from Star Wars. Bear with me, as you probably have learned by now, I usually have a point. May not always be a good one, but I do usually have a point. Yoda is responsible for a whole lot of interesting sort of aphorisms, but the one that I want to talk about today is this. When Luke Skywalker says, I'm trying, but I'm not succeeding, Yoda doesn't really give him any quarter. He says to him, do or do not. There is no try. Well, I get that that's sort of a tough love approach to things, but honestly, I think Yoda has it completely wrong and is very misguided. It is sort of reminiscent of that old American West kind of idea. You gotta pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. You think about, John Wayne movies and that type of thing. But the reality is that's not how the world works. For if we don't try things, we don't improve. Think of it this way. When you learn to ride a bicycle, everybody pretty much learned how to ride a bike at a young or youngish age. Did you immediately just hop on, start pedaling, and head on out? Likely not. You started, first of all, probably with a tricycle just to get used to the pedaling motion, and you had to even learn how to do that. There was a lot of trial and error in there. And then you graduated to a two-wheeler, but you probably had training wheels. Wheels on both sides to help you keep your balance, and even then, you probably had a lot of trial and error, and you likely fell and had some challenges with that. And then comes the big day when you're trying to ride without the training wheels, and mom or dad has to hold the seat, and you start pedaling, and you go a little bit, and then you fall, and usually winds up with some tears, and then you have to get back up and try again. And try again, and try again, and only after all of those attempts, those trials, do you find that, wow, guess what? I'm actually doing it. I'm pedaling the bike. I've got it. I know how to ride a bike now. It doesn't just happen. It requires a great deal of trial and error. You must try, and you must try again. So Yoda doesn't really have it right. Now that same concept applies to our life in this sort of pandemic-infused world in which we live right now. I know that much of our world has changed, and the things we used to take for granted are closed to us right now. We don't have the ability to do things the way we would like to do, and it kind of is messing with our heads to an extent. We find ourselves cooped up and frustrated and angry, and that tends to boil over into our lives. We may find ourselves doing things that aren't necessarily good for us. And we may say to ourselves, boy, I really wish that I could do better. But if we're listening to Yoda, you either do it or you don't. No, that's not the case. I want to give you a piece of advice, and if necessary, permission, to be easier on yourself. Try something, and if you fail, try it again, and again, and again, and again. If you're eating too much in COVID, try today to not. And if tomorrow you wake up and say, well, that didn't work, that chocolate cake was calling to me and I gave in, try again tomorrow. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself grace and give yourself credit and try again and try again and try again. Because eventually, just like learning to ride that bicycle, you will find that you're successful. Trying actually Well, it's tied into patience too, isn't it? Because if you are trying something and failing, you have to be patient enough to try it again, and then again, and then again. Paul talks about this in the letter to the Romans when he says, but that's not all. Even in times of even in times of trouble, we have a joyful confidence, knowing that our pressures will develop in us patient endurance. And patient endurance will refine our character, and proven character leads us back to hope. Trying and patience are woven into that passage. And so today I want to invite you to try something that you haven't been terribly successful at doing. Now, that can be whatever you want it to be. It can be shutting off the television and the computer and just doing something for yourself, reading a book. It can be going out for a walk. It can be not having that drink or not having those donuts. It can be calling that person that you've been telling yourself you were going to call, but you just haven't found the way to get around to it. Try whatever it is you feel called to do today, brothers and sisters, that's going to be helpful to you. And if you're successful, wonderful. If you're not, remember that joyful confidence produces patient endurance, and patient endurance refines our character, and character leads us back to hope. So give yourself that grace and that patience. Finally, let's close in prayer. God of patience, you never tire of waiting for us, and you are always ready to bear the burden of our brokenness. Give us the grace to wait for others with the same spirit you wait for us. Help us to be quick to bear one another's burdens as you bear ours. Amen.